Well, when we think of video, we very quickly realize that the microphones that are built into our phones or into our cameras really just don't cut it. And we either get wind noise or it sounds distant, and it's not of a very good quality. Now, we can see that there's a number of items that they promote on the market if you want to be some distance away from the camera, and that's the DJI wireless microphone and the Rode Go 2. And there's a number of knockoffs of those products around. Now, those two items are fairly pricey, but there is cheaper solutions that actually produce just as good quality, if not better, and are much cheaper. So let's roll our intro and let's have a look at what solutions there is for easily recording sound if we're using our phone or our camera to make a video. Now, I've got a couple of products here from Tascam. Now, there is another product called Zoom, which is very competitive to Tascam, but I prefer the Tascam because I like the way the menu system works. But in reality, they both do the same job, and you could choose any product, whatever you like. Now, the products I'm going to show you today, I paid with my own money. I'm not sponsored by Tascam. I've not been gifted them by Tascam. In no way do I have any association with Tascam. This is just me buying different stuff, and I've found from buying different recorders and different sound solutions that these ones I prefer and work really well. Now, the first one is a sound recorder, and this little sound recorder is about as big as the old type of flip phones we used to have, the brick phones when we used to call them, and it has two microphones on the top, and it has a LCD screen which is very easy to read, and it gives you the bars and all the information, and it has this keypad which is very, very easily intuitive to use. Now, this device here can also have a microphone plugged into it right here, which is really handy. So if you've got a separate microphone, you can use that as well, or you can use the microphones built in. Now, the microphones built in are a really good quality for the price of this unit. I was extremely impressed. They're actually better than some of the dedicated microphones that I've purchased. And especially if you hold it quite close to you like this, like if you're recording, you're doing a voice recording or whatever, or you've got it on a stand, it's got a screw mounting on the back so you can mount it on things, which is our normal, I think it's quarter inch thread, which we have on our camera. So it's the same thread fixture. So it'll fit onto a light stand or any other device that we use for connecting our lighting or our cameras onto tripods and light stands. So that's really handy because it makes this little unit really useful. Now, one thing that is a little bit of a negative with these sorts of recorders is you need to sync the sound in post. That's the only step that you don't do if you had a device that was using a radio frequency and then had a transmitter and a receiver like the DJI product or like the Rode Go 2 product. Now, those products, reason why I don't like them, I actually had a radio but by Boa, not by those brands, which does exactly the same thing. And the reason why I moved away from those devices is because you need to adjust the sound volume on the device, and then you also need to adjust the sound volume on the camera. And those things vary depending on what you're doing. And it's just another thing when you're doing the recording process, when time is of the essence, that you need to worry about. Whilst with these things here, you switch it on and you adjust the level to about 12 minus 12 dB, and they're good to go. And you can just leave them. They don't even have to be related to the camera. So you may be catching vocals or background noise or anything when you haven't got your camera running, which you can add or lay over or add a sound design to your video when you come to do the editing. Now, the other Tascam device that I've got here is a very, very small unit, and this is it here. Now, I've got a black one, and I've also got a white one here. So these things are really common for wedding shooters, and obviously the white one goes on the bride, and the back one goes on the groom. Now, these ones here, they do have a lavalier microphone included with them. The microphone that's included with them is not that great a quality microphone. It does the job. The sound is still pretty good, but compared to the microphones in this device or a standard microphone, they not that great. If you bought yourself like a Rode microphone or whatever, you'll find that the sound is better, but they get the job done. And what is amazing about these units is it's basically a one-step record, because you put your battery in, and when you switch the record on, it starts the device and records. It's almost like that live function you have on a GoPro. You just push the button, it starts recording and filming straight away, and it will just keep filming until keeps recording until basically the battery goes flat, which is hours and hours and hours and hours. And that's why these things are used for wedding, because they pop them on the groom and you can switch them on and you can leave them run for hours, and you capture the vows and you capture all of the conversations and everything like that, which then you can use for their wedding video. And the white one obviously is white because then it doesn't stand out against the dress. There is other solutions for these if you're doing weddings, and there is bands that you can buy for putting them and hiding them. But generally, if the bride doesn't have it on, what I would do is I would just rely on the groom, or I'd also put like a free mic on a stand like this near the celebrant and the couple. So using these things for other things other than weddings is, these things are great because I can just put this in my pocket, put my lavalier mic on, clip it here. I walk around, I can walk away from the camera, I can walk close to the camera, I can keep talking, I can have the camera running or not running, and I can still record my instructional information that I may be giving for that video. So that's where these things are great. And of course, you don't have to worry about interference or them dropping out or anything like that. And what is actually really good about this particular unit is you can set it to record 2 tracks at different dB, either -6 dB below or -3 dB below. So if one is too hot, you can use the lower one, or if one's too quiet, you can use the higher one. That is a really good feature. Now, why am I recommending these devices? Now, the reason why I'm recommending these devices is these things are a lot cheaper than the radio transmitter devices like the DJI microphone and the Rode Go 2 microphone. This one here, which is exceptional value for the quality it does and the functionality, this one here is $222 in Australia. So that would be maybe about $150 to $170 US. And for what this thing can do, that is really good. I would probably say you could probably almost buy 3 of these for one of those DJI microphones or Rode Go 2 microphones. And of course, having more microphones is a massive advantage because you can have one recording background ambience and you can have one recording the person, and then you can mix those in separately. So then you can control the volumes. So you might have some birds or some people shuffling in the background. And because you've got one close to the person, you're recording their vocals, and one's further away, there's a huge dB difference between them. And when you mix them, you can control the volume separately and get a very high production product when you finish your video. These things here obviously are more of an unpersoned device. They're a bit more expensive than the bigger recorder, but you could probably buy 2 of these for the price of a DJI microphone or a Rode Go 2. And of course, having more microphones is always better because then you can mic up 2 people. If you're doing an interview or having a discussion, you can have a separate microphone in each person, and then you overlay them later, adjust the volume separately. Far, far better. Whilst if you plug into the camera, you need to change your volumes of your channels separately. You need to have mixers. You need to, and most of the, unless you're going to buy a video camera, most of the cameras don't have that functionality. They don't have the functionality of being able to mix different channels going into the camera separately. So that's where these sorts of devices that we're using here have a huge advantage. As I said, the only downside is the fact that you need to align the sound with the video. And you can use the old trick where you just do a clap. So you've got a visual cue and you've got an audible cue to line them up. And that works excellent. Or if you want something a bit more fantastic, and you can use a clapper board and you can write on that board what the video is about. If you want to get super, super particular, and those things you could just make out a bit of wood and a hinge from your local hardware store. Well, anyway, guys, let me know what you use for your sound solutions. For simple, easy to use stuff, I found recorders work a hell of a lot better than trying to put the sound into the camera. Yes, it's synced with the video, but there's a lot of other hassles that creates. And I like to work using the sound separately and using multiple recorders. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to leave it. And I will see you next vid.